The prophecy was hidden for centuries. Whispers of it lingered in the hearts of men, a tale that shook empires and silenced kings. They called it the day of the earth's wrath, a day when armies, no matter their strength, would vanish without a trace. Not by sword, not by fire, but by the earth itself. The ground, the very soil they trusted beneath their feet, would betray them. The earth would split. The land would roar. The fields of battle would turn into graves, and no soldier, no commander, no king could resist it. It was said this prophecy would unfold when pride reached its highest peak, when men would march with arrogance, when rulers would believe themselves invincible, when blood would be spilled without mercy. The skies would darken, the ground would tremble, the hearts of the brave would turn cold with terror, for the earth itself would open wide, and entire armies would sink into its depths, vanishing in seconds, lost forever in the endless darkness beneath. The world had long forgotten this warning, but the time was drawing near. Signs were appearing across the lands, storms rising from nowhere, mountains shaking without reason, voices heard in the silence of the night, whispers beneath the ground. The elders spoke of it with trembling lips. The earth remembers, the earth waits, the day will come. And when it comes, no fortress, no army, no wall will stand. In the heart of the desert, a mighty empire gathered its strength. Tens of thousands of soldiers lined the sands, their banners rising like fire against the horizon, their swords flashing under the burning sun. Their commanders rode on black horses armored in steel. Their drums echoed like thunder across the barren land. This was the greatest army ever assembled, and with them came arrogance. Their general raised his hand and declared, "Who can stand before us? Who can resist our power? We'll march with the strength of mountains, and we shall crush all who defy us." The soldiers roared, the earth listened, and the prophecy stirred. But none of them knew. They laughed at omens. They mocked the warnings of the old. They silenced the voices that spoke of the prophecy. They raised their swords high, believing nothing could stop them. But beneath their feet something ancient was awakening. The desert sands whispered like serpents. The ground shifted. Unnoticed, the earth had waited too long, and now its vengeance was near. As the sun sank, blood red on the horizon, the army prepared to march. Torches lit the darkness. The sound of boots struck the ground like rolling thunder. The night was alive with arrogance. But then the first tremor came, small, gentle, almost like the earth was sighing. The soldiers laughed. An earthquake, they mocked. Is this the power that dares to challenge us? But the tremor grew stronger. The laughter turned into unease. The unease turned into fear. The torches shook in trembling hands. The horses neighed in panic, and the earth split open. With a sound that tore through the heavens, the ground cracked like lightning. A roar rose from beneath. The desert floor opened wide, and men screamed as they fell into the abyss. Rows upon rows of soldiers vanished in an instant. Torches fell, swallowed by shadows. The drums stopped. The cries of arrogance turned to screams of terror. The earth was alive, and it was hungry. The prophecy had awakened. The army was no more. What once stood as the mightiest force in the desert was reduced to silence. The sands swallowed their pride. The earth claimed their bones. But this was only the beginning. News of the disaster spread like wildfire. Messengers returned with trembling voices, their eyes haunted by what they had seen. The earth swallowed them, they cried. No battle, no enemy, no sword. Only the ground itself. The kings laughed at first. Impossible, they said. Nonsense, they claimed. But the fear grew. One empire collapsed overnight. Entire cities were left without defenders. The survivors told stories that froze the blood. They spoke of shadows rising from the cracks. They spoke of screams that echoed even after the soldiers were gone. They swore they could hear the army crying beneath the ground, wailing, begging, lost forever in the depths of the earth. The priests turned to their scriptures. The scholars searched through forgotten scrolls. And then the truth emerged. The prophecy had been written long ago, in ancient words carved upon stone. It spoke of pride that would bring ruin, of armies that would challenge the heavens, of a day when the earth itself would wage war. The kings grew uneasy, the generals grew restless, the people trembled, because the prophecy did not end with one army. It spoke of many, it spoke of nations, it spoke of the time when rulers would unite their forces to defy heaven, to stand against destiny. And when they did, the ground would rise once more, but greater, stronger, more terrifying than before. The earth would not swallow a single army. It would swallow entire empires. The warnings spread, but arrogance is not so easily silenced. Another king raised his banners. He gathered his forces, an army of steel, shields, and pride. He declared, "Let the earth try to devour us. We shall march upon its cracks, and still we shall conquer." His people cheered. But the earth was listening, and once more it stirred. This time it was not in the desert. It was in the heart of the city, a grand city of stone towers and golden gates. As the soldiers marched through its streets, the ground trembled. At first they thought it was thunder, but the sky was clear. Then they thought it was drums, but no drums beat that day. Then the streets split, the towers shook, the gates cracked, and the city fell into darkness. Buildings collapsed into chasms. Soldiers and citizens alike were swallowed. The king himself, seated upon his throne, felt the ground vanish beneath him. His crown rolled into the abyss. His screams joined the chorus of the forgotten. And the city was no more. The prophecy grew louder. The earth was no longer patient. Every kingdom now feared its wrath. But the greatest terror was yet to come. The prophecy spoke of a final day, a day when armies greater than all before would rise together, bound not by borders, not by blood, but by pride. It was said that when the rulers of the world united their strength, believing themselves untouchable, the earth would awaken in full, and the world itself would tremble. Generations passed, empires rose and fell, but pride never died. It only grew. And soon the time came. A new era of kings arose. They built machines of war. They forged weapons of fire and steel. They gathered soldiers in numbers greater than the sands of the desert. And with arrogance in their voices, they declared war against destiny. Millions marched across plains, across deserts, across mountains. Their banners filled the horizon. Their chants shook the skies. The prophecy was upon them. The earth trembled. The mountains roared. The rivers boiled. But still they marched, until they reached the Valley of Shadows, a land cursed in legend, a land where the earth's heartbeat could be heard at night. They camped upon it. Their fires lit the sky. Their weapons glittered like stars. And then it came, the sound, deep, terrifying, the sound of the earth breathing. The soldiers froze. The horses screamed. The ground shifted beneath their feet, and the valley opened. Not a crack, not a chasm, but a wound across the world, a wound that swallowed everything. Mountains collapsed, rivers vanished, the armies screamed, millions of voices lost in an instant, banners fell, weapons disappeared, torches drowned in shadows. The kings were no more, their pride turned to silence, their power turned to dust. The earth had spoken, and the prophecy was fulfilled. For the earth is not weak, the earth remembers, the earth waits. And when arrogance grows too strong, it rises, it consumes, it buries, and it forgets. The world above returned to silence. No banners, no armies, only the endless winds. And the whisper of the prophecy etched forever in the memory of mankind, the day the earth swallowed armies, the hidden prophecy revealed, the warning for all time. That pride will always fall, and the earth will always remember.